Hello, in this video we will discuss about the soda water, Pepsi. Here we will discuss about what is the function in our body. So first of all we should need to understand the ingredient in the soda water as a Pepsi. So Pepsi contains sugar, so high amount of the sugar and water, as well as into the water the carbonic acid, and carbonic acid in the form of carbon dioxide is present. This carbon dioxide dissolved in the form of carbonic acid, which that is very weak acid, and freely carbon dioxide is also present, and phosphoric acid and pepsin possibly, but in this time the pepsin are not present in the Pepsi, but carbon dioxide is dissolved into the water into carbonic acid formation, and caffeine also present, which that is stimulant and addiction of soda water due to caffeine and sugar. So anyhow, let's begin to understand from digestion. So that when we will intake the Pepsi, when we will drink it, so it will move into the stomach, and stomach contain pepsin if present, so the protein digestion will be occur, while otherwise it will not work. But here is the when dissolve, when move into the stomach, so the carbon dioxide is gas, and carbon dioxide gas it will move out, and we can feel that. And on the other hand, here is the sugar and carbonic acid and phosphoric acid or other acid type with a phosphate group at binding will move into the blood circulatory system, and carbonic acid will dissociate in the form of carbon dioxide and water. But remember, the carbonic acid will increase into the blood circulatory system will lead to acidosis in the blood, so the pH of the blood will decrease due to the acidic, and the carbon dioxide will exhale more, so the more breathing and hypoxia can be possible. So here is the phosphoric acid is lead to bone deformation due to loss of calcium also, and in this way the bone deformation due to the phosphoric acid. So here is the excretion time we will discuss. Here is the glomerulus are present in the kidney and nephron, which that is the also sugar will lead to hyperglycemia, will lead to hypertension, and this will lead to more filtration, and carbonic acid, sugar and water will filter with the sodium, potassium and calcium also. So the aquaporin channel inhibit, antidiuretic hormone will decrease because the more glycemia, glucose as well as the carbonic acid and water will lead to excretion, because no need more water as well as the carbonic acid. So important thing is that, and will lead to more urination, hypokalemia, hyponatremia, hypocalcemia and hypoglycemia will be occur due to the loss of sugar. And on the other hand, the polydipsia of cola addiction will be occur. So remember, this is the basically is the loss of sodium, potassium will lead to muscle fatigue, and loss of the potassium, because the potassium is very important mineral, important ion for our body. So in the case of the hyperglycemia also will lead to increase the insulin into the blood circulatory system. So what that means? That means the insulin will increase. So the insulin will increase, will bind with a specific cell with the insulin receptor. After the binding with the insulin receptor, it means the glucose will move into the blood, into the cells from the blood circulatory system. Will lead to also hypoglycemia from the hyperglycemia. So the fluctuation of the hyperglycemia and hypoglycemia will occur, which that will lead to again and again soda water desire in our brain, because the caffeine is also present, which that is the addiction. For example, here is the muscle cell. So the GLUT2 and GLUT4 channel required for the influx of the glucose through a opening from the insulin binding with the insulin receptor. After this binding, the insulin, the glucose will move into the cell, will lead to hypoglycemia. the sugar craving will increase because the low blood glucose level. So the low blood glucose level will trigger the brain higher cortex, will lead to more pepsi, a desire, and the more and more again and again will chain reaction will be occur, the chain process. So the hyperglycemia to hypoglycemia will to more craving. Anyhow, let's begin to understand further explanation to understand the soda water as a Pepsi working in our body as a physiology. So here is the hypertension will be occur due to the hyperglycemia will lead to more water dissolve into the plasma into the blood, will lead to hypertension because the stretching of the wall of the blood vessel will more because the volume will be more due to the hyperglycemia. So the glucose will require water for dissolution. So in this way the more water intake will be occur, and hyperglycemia will lead to urination to hypoglycemia due to the loss of the sugar, and dehydration will be occur due to the loss of water from the excretory system, excretion from the kidney, and the urination will be more, lead to hypotension, and the decrease the high blood pressure, lead to low blood pressure because the chronic consumption will lead to fluctuation of the hypertension to hypotension due to the dehydration. And hypertension by endothelial dysfunction due to the hypertension, due to the stretching of the wall, and the vascular disease due to the hyperglycemia will lead to enter the glucose into the endothelial cell without using the insulin. So here on the other hand, here you can see the insulin will bind, and the insulin receptor excellent work with the beginning time before the addiction. So the hypoglycemia will be occur one time, and again more uses lead to hypoglycemia more. So this chain reaction due to the hyperglycemia will lead to hypoglycemia, and again this working. So the more working of the insulin receptor will lead to disrupt and damage the insulin receptor, will lead to resistance of the insulin. Insulin resistance will cause the type 2 diabetes in insulin insensitivity, and the insulin will not bind, so the glucose will not move into the blood, into the muscle or into the liver. So it means the hyperglycemia will lead to sustain in the blood circulatory system, so the excretion will be more. So the one way to decrease the glucose level in blood is the excretion. So the hyperglycemia will be occur here. So hyperglycemia will lead to urination, lead to hypoglycemia and dehydration due to the loss of water, and this kidney disease dysfunction due to more filtration and due to more dehydration and decrease the blood pressure will lead to kidney damage. But on the other hand, here is the loss of calcium, which that is the loss of calcium, which that is lead to muscle fatigue, muscle pain, cramp, tachycardia, and weakness of the muscle due to the decrease of the calcium as well as the potassium. So the potassium and calcium is very crucial for the movement as well as the normal physiology of the myocytes, normal physiology of the skeletal muscle and digestive tract. So here I am drawing the brain. This brain contains a limbic system. Limbic system is important for the hunger, and on the other hand the emotion, desire of something, sexual arousal, etc. But here we will just understand here is the paraventricular nucleus are present here with the hypothalamus, upper part of the hypothalamus. So again and again stimulation to the hypothalamus will lead to more craving and more requirement of the Pepsi, and more requirement of the Pepsi due to the sugar, and the glucose will deposit again and again into the adipose tissue. So the adipose tissue will convert glucose into the into the fat triacylglycerol. So the adiposity will be increased, so the obesity will be increased, while the atrophy, the muscle loss due to the insulin insensitivity due to the loss of the insulin receptor, and in this way the atrophy will be occur, but adipogenesis will be increased. So the chain of hypoglycemia lead to addiction. So in this way, again and again, hypoglycemia will lead to higher brain cortex, which that knocking to again consumption of the glucose as well as caffeine. So here is the Pepsi consumption is the vertical and time in life, for example 1 year. So the chain of hypoglycemia will lead to again relax through a hyperglycemia, again hypoglycemia lead to again craving, and this again hyperglycemia from the hypoglycemia. So this peak level will be increased for the relaxation again and again, because the insulin insensitivity will be increased, while the excretion will more due to the hyperglycemia will lead to hypoglycemia. So between the range of isoglycemia, the hyperglycemia and hypoglycemia will be fluctuate. So here on the other hand, the caffeine. So let's begin to understand what is caffeine. So the caffeine consuming will stimulate the brain to release dopamine for reward to our stimulation to consume again caffeine after craving. So it will lead to give the function and give the signal to the higher brain cortex for consumption of more caffeine in the form of soda water. So let's begin to understand little bit more, explain about the caffeine. So the caffeine increase the parasympathetic nervous system first, and after this the dopamine and norepinephrine release will lead to parasympathetic nervous system stimulation, and after this heartbeat increase, tachycardia, diuretic effect and vasoconstriction will be occur, high blood pressure, and release more tension, and the alertness, activeness, enhance the memory, addiction, and relaxation will be occur. So in this way, the chain process will lead to soda water will damage our body with the insulin insensitivity will lead to type 2 diabetes mellitus. So thanks for watching. Please make sure to subscribe. Bye.